Jocko, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing outstanding.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule just to be with us. I want to talk to you a little bit about your background. Tell me where you're from and just basically about your childhood and everything.
So I grew up in a little New England town. I grew up on a dirt road, which I think kind of says it all when it comes to growing up in a little town. Yeah, I grew up on a little dirt road. My parents were school teachers, and ever since I can remember wanting to do anything, wanted to have any kind of job, I wanted that job to be commando. I wanted to be some kind of commando.
Yeah.
And so I grew up, running around the woods, playing Army, being rebellious. And then at some point I realized that there was a job to be a commando.
Yeah.
And as soon as I figured that out, I thought, I never have to grow up. I can just keep doing this. And that's exactly what I did.
That's
I joined the Navy after high school and went right to basic SEAL training after I got done with boot camp, and then spent my adult life in the SEAL teams.
We have a lot of leaders, Jocko, on our team here, and a lot of leaders come to Fellowship Church for leadership training and things. I know you're an expert at that. I love your story when you were talking about your life on your TED Talk, when you took responsibility for your position in front of your peers, in front of your commanding officers.
The idea is extreme ownership. That is taking ownership of everything that's going on in your world. And it's a challenge. And it hurts,
Yes, it is.
your ego. Every time something goes wrong, when you're a leader of a team, like if you're a pastor and something goes wrong in your church, it's really easy to look around and say, well, the congregation should have done this.
Yes,
The market's going in this direction.
Oh, I'm great at doing that.
Right. The weather didn't, go the way we wanted it to go because you planned the picnic and the weather came in, and you say, hey, that's not my fault. It's not my fault in the weather. But the reality is you should have had some kind of a contingency plan,
That's right.
Same thing with a relationship. I'm thinking, when I get home from work, hey, I just want to sit down on the couch because I'm tired. Well, what if my wife wants to talk to me? And I could say, well, she needs to understand me. Well, guess what? She's been dealing with the kids all day. She's been, jumping up and down, driving around, doing the carpool thing. She wants to talk to a grown person. So I can make those adjustments. I can do that. That's on me, not on my wife. It's not her problem. That's my problem.
I know you told Joe Rogan one time, and I was like, it's kind of rocked me. You were talking about, how you have to hold people accountable, and you were saying that you don't yell. Tell me about that, just the philosophy behind that and how you got to that.
Well, I've been yelled at.
Oh, I can imagine.
Right? I've been yelled at. Have you ever been yelled at before?
I have a lot, yes.
And what does that make you, what does that do to your...
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean,
Feel small,
it can make you more nervous.
Yes,
it can make you angry.
Exactly.
At me. It doesn't make you focus on the job that needs to get done.
That's the
It
truth.
doesn't help build our relationship as two people that are trying to get something done, part of a team.
Okay.
That's a key component of a team is that we have a relationship. If we don't have a relationship, we don't have a team.
That's right.
So if I'm yelling at you, it's just not helping the situation.
Okay, looking at all the entities that you look with and deal with and consult, what are like the common leadership weaknesses you see that the typical business, church, whatever, would probably struggle with? I mean, what are the common
Yeah, so we have sort of the fundamental laws of combat leadership that we teach.
Yes.
Cover and move, which is teamwork. We got to support each other.
Cover and move, okay.
Keeping things simple, which you have to keep things simple so people understand
Isn't that true?
Oh, yes, it definitely is.
And see, to me too, Jocko, that's complex to make something simple. You have to really know it, don't you?
Yes, you have to be able to take a step back and analyze what's important and what's not, and simplify things. Prioritize and execute, which is, hey, there's going to be a bunch of things that we have to get done. What are the most important things so we can focus on the most important things and not get distracted? And then finally, decentralized command, which is letting subordinate leaders lead, letting the team step up and lead. So at any company, they might be doing one or two of those things well, or maybe even three of those things well, but maybe the fourth one, they're not doing that well. So maybe they're being a good team supporting each other, but they've got a very complex mission and they're not simplifying it. So that causes problems. Or maybe they know what the priorities are, but they're not letting subordinate leaders lead, so therefore things aren't happening at a quick pace. All that being said, one of the common threads we run into is just people's egos. And your ego will prevent you from listening to other people, will prevent you from allowing other people to influence your decision making.
Yes.
And if you're not listening to other people, you're not going to come up with the best solution. And I think that's just when you think of stereotypically what people think of when they think of a leader, they think of the person that's standing up and telling everyone what to do and coming up with a plan and barking orders. And really, for me, the optimum leader doesn't have to say anything. The team knows what we're doing.
Yes.
The team makes it happen. So you can only do that if you're listening to what the team says and you're building those relationships and you have a good, strong culture. Then you really, as a leader, don't have to talk. It's a nice place to be.
I've said this too, and I want you to break this down. Delegation without investigation is an abomination. In other words, a lot of people that I meet, leaders, oh yeah, I delegate this, delegate that, out of sight, out of mind. But to me, the hard yards, when you come in and you have to investigate, teach me about investigating and delegating and all that.
Yeah, you're right. You've got to delegate things. You've got to empower people to make things happen. But then you have to check and make sure that those things are happening and make sure that they're going in the right direction. You know, and look, the more I work with you and the more trust we have, the less I have to investigate what you're doing.
That's good.
Because I know you've completed that other project,
Yes,
you got this thing on time, you were proactive getting this mission done, you made things happen. The more I see you do that, the more you continue to do that, the less and less I have to be intrusive as a leader. Now, if you just started working for me, I'm gonna be a little bit more of a micromanager. I'm gonna check in with you more often.
Good.
If you make some mistakes, I'm gonna start following up more often. And I'm gonna confirm that you are moving in the right direction. But I think that giving people autonomy and control over their own destiny is the most powerful thing that you can
totally
give.
agree. It's great.
And that way, if we're working together, the more you perform, the better you perform, the better you execute, the more autonomy and freedom I'm gonna give you,
Yes.
the happier you're gonna be, the better job you're gonna do. I'm gonna have to worry about you even less, and I can actually start building someone else or growing something else or concentrating somewhere else. And that way we grow as an organization.
Now, Jocko, you're an excellent communicator. What would you teach us about communication? Just what have you learned?
The most important part of communication is the part of communication that people think about the least and usually do the least, and that is listen to what other people are saying. That's the primary part of communication, because if I don't understand you, if I don't understand your perspective, if I don't know what it is you're trying to say to me, how can I possibly respond? The answer is I can't.
Yeah.
I can make a guess, but it's not going to be effective. So if you're in a leadership position and you are thinking about improving your communication, try talking less. I had a client that I was working with, and he had an issue with one of his employees, and he said, and he called me up, he said, yep, I just talked to my employee, we had a great conversation. And I said, oh, that's awesome. What percentage of time did you talk and what percentage of time did he talk? He immediately knew. He knew it was wrong. I could envision, I knew the guy.
Guilty.
I knew that he was gonna call this, hey look, you and I have a problem, this is what I think we should do, this is how we can make it better, you need to do this, you need to listen to me a little bit more. And it was one of those one-way conversations. And a one-way conversation isn't a conversation.
No.
So you wanna improve your communication skills, listen more.
Okay, war is hell. We would go, man, Jocko, we've never faced anything like you have, but we're at war like good versus evil, et cetera. I want to hear about war, about just some general
Yes,
bad, whatever.
war is hell. It's absolutely terrible. And it is good versus evil.
Yeah.
I definitely felt the presence of evil and saw evil with my own eyes. And I also saw the presence of incredible good, unbelievable good. When you have...
Yeah, I loved how you said that. It reveals that.
It does.
The worst in man, and also, on the other hand, the best.
Yes.
I loved how you said that.
The insurgents that we were fighting did unspeakable things to other human beings. Unspeakable things to other human beings. And so that is a demonic evil that you get to, unfortunately, witness. And the other side is that you see incredible human beings that are willing to sacrifice their lives for their friends. One of the blessings of my job, I travel all over the country, and what you see is you get to see America.
Yeah.
And if you sit at home and you look at social media and you watch the news, you see a certain part of America. You see the most inflammatory part of America. You see the loudest part of
Yes.
America, but you don't see regular America. Normal people are out there today, right now. They're working hard.
Yes.
They're trying to do a good job on their construction site. They're trying to streamline their manufacturing.
Yes.
They're trying to grow their clients in their financial company. That's what they're doing. So I would say be careful to everyone about paying so much attention to the small percentage of people that make the most noise.
Yeah.
And I would remember that there's a massive part of America that still has really awesome American values, that's hardworking, that wants to take care of each other and help each other out. And I'm lucky enough to get to see that part of America almost on a daily basis.
Now, to Jocko, I was reading about how you talked about when you were commander, taking people out. I've never read this like this, in extreme training.
People say, is it mental or is it physical?
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, it's both. It's come about in the last couple years, people started asking me this question of what makes a good SEAL. And what makes a good SEAL isn't somebody that's the fastest, isn't somebody that's the best shot, isn't that somebody that's the strongest. What makes the good SEAL is someone that puts the team first. That's what makes a good SEAL, and that's what we're looking for.
I want to hear your thoughts too, just on Memorial Day.
Honestly, every day for me is Memorial Day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about the guys that I lost, the guys that I'm talking about who made these incredible sacrifices. You know, guys like Mark Lee,
Yes.
guys like Mikey Mansour, Ryan Job. These are guys that were with me and they laid down their lives for their friends. So for me, Memorial Day is a nice tribute that the whole nation partakes in. But for those of us most of us that served, every day is Memorial Day. And we try and spend every day living in a way that will honor the sacrifices of our friends.
Wow, Jocko, it's been amazing. Thank you for taking time to be at Fellowship Church. We'll have to do this again. So you got up at 4:30, didn't you? 4:30? That's what
Yes,
time
I
you-
did, yeah.
And your workout right quick, Jocko. Just like you get up at 4:30, what are you doing?
It depends what I'm doing. It depends where I am.
Okay,
You
like
know,
today, where were
yesterday I was in a hotel room. I put a towel down, did a bunch of push-ups and burpees. Today I went down to the hotel gym, used some kettlebells and some dumbbells. You know, did some.
Like how many, when you do push-ups, how many push-ups are we talking about?
It depends, but I mean, a good push-up workout. You know, if you're doing between 300 and 1,000 push-ups, something along those lines.
I want Jocko to just critique my push-ups right quick. I can barely do them, Jocko. I'm 62. Okay, is that?
Looking pretty good, man.
Yeah, but
Nicely done.
I can only do about 10, and I gotta rest.
Do more.
Gosh, this guy does 4. I've never done that. All my push-ups together don't equal that. Jocko, how do you get the images? I mean, this is kind of a personal question because our daughter died tragically 2 years ago in my arms, and I still deal with those images. I mean, how do you deal with those? Like of all the.
Yeah, you know, I've two things. Number one is, and what I've had to explain to many people is you're going to get hit with waves of emotions that you can't control. And it's weird because when you're an adult, you're supposed to be able to control your emotions. So then all of a sudden you're just standing there and you think everything's supposed to be okay. And all of a sudden you can't control your emotions and you're crying like a baby. And you don't think that's normal. But it actually is normal. That's you processing through the information. So, and then the next thing that happens is over time, those emotions, those waves of emotions, they come less often and they lose some of their strength. And sometimes people feel guilty about that. They're like, oh,
Yeah,
what's wrong with me?
that's right.
Why am I not feeling, am I a bad person? No, you are processing what happened, and death is part of life, and this is what you're gonna go through. So there's that. And then, I got, I would always end up having to do eulogies for my friends.
Oh, yeah.
And so what that means, you gotta sit down and write. And so when you sit down and write, you start to process as well. And then what I realized is, well, when you're writing a eulogy, you're probably writing it so everyone, you're trying to share some stories. But you can actually do something more personal and write a letter to that individual and talk to them and explain to them, what you're feeling, what they meant to you. And I think you might have to do that 100 times. You might have to do it 10 times. You might be doing it for the rest of your life. But I think that's a great way to move forward by expressing what you're feeling to that person. Write them a letter. And those things have been very helpful to me.
Thank you.